What's going on, everybody? Jeff Holiday here, and today we're going to be talking about rabies. Why are we talking about rabies? Well, unfortunately, rabies are in the news, and for the most insane thing I could possibly think of. This is published on arstechnica.com. Homeopath treated 4-year-old boy's behavior problems with saliva from a rabid dog. Yeah, that's right. You read that right. A homeopath decided to treat a young boy's aggression with the saliva from a rabid dog. Why? Why in the world would somebody do that? Well, to answer that question, we're going to have to look at this a little bit deeper. We're going to have to understand homeopathy, and we're going to have to understand rabies. So first and foremost, let's take a look at rabies. Rabies is a highly contagious disease, and it is spread largely through the saliva of animals. Rabies is a zoonotic disease, which means it can be transmitted from animals to humans, and it's most commonly found in dogs, raccoons, bats, as well as a few other mammals as well. And you usually contract it by getting bit or getting scratched or whatever from a wild animal, or sometimes, unfortunately, a domesticated animal that also got infected as well. Now, one of the cool parts about rabies, it's not cool, but it's fortunate, is that it is a 100% preventable disease if you utilize vaccinations. So there's really, as long as it's caught and somebody gets medical treatment, there's no reason why they should die from it. And that's a good thing, because rabies in humans is a terrifying thing. According to the CDC, the rabies virus infects the central nervous system, ultimately causing disease in the brain and death. The early symptoms of rabies in people are similar to that of many other illnesses, including fever, headache, general weakness, or discomfort. As the disease progresses, more specific symptoms appear and may include insomnia, anxiety, confusion, slight or partial paralysis, excitation, hallucinations, agitation, hypersalivation, difficulty swallowing, and hydrophobia. Death usually occurs within days of the onset of these symptoms. One of the really spooky parts about it, though, is if you get bitten, there's an incubation period where it has not really progressed to give you symptoms. So you might have rabies, but you don't know quite yet. Which is why if you get bit by a strange dog or a bat or a raccoon and they're exhibiting very, very strange behavior, you should probably seek medical attention right away. Now, one of the interesting parts about it too is that as it progresses, it causes violent, aggressive, confusing tendencies. And there's an example here I'd like to show you of a young boy who is experiencing aggression and confusion and hydrophobia.
ওষুধ লিখে দিব পরে পানি খাইতে বললে মুখে নাও আবার একটু দেন আবার একটু দেন না মানে বসো ধরে রাখেন একটু পানি খাইতে কয়
Now, obviously, I don't speak his language, but I can kind of understand what's going on. He is very, very thirsty, but because of how the disease is affecting him and the problems with being able to swallow and take things into the body, he's now terrified of water, the sensation of choking, and he's probably starting to have hypersalivation as well. I hope that young boy got treated as soon as possible, because it just gets worse. Way, way worse. According to the World Health Organization, with the exception of Antarctica, rabies is endemic on all continents. Of the tens of thousands of deaths occurring annually due to rabies, 95% of cases are reported in Asia and Africa. And that's not very surprising, because those are usually places that have the least amount of access to modern healthcare and vaccines. And as well, it is vaccine preventable, and especially in dogs. You can vaccinate a dog against rabies. Problem with that is, well, recently, surprise, surprise, the anti-vaxx movement has started to try and peddle the idea that dogs can get autism from vaccines. Spoiler alert, no they can't. Well, let's get back to the article. Hair of the dog remedies may do the trick for some hangover sufferers, but health experts say that a Canadian homeopath took the idea too far. Way, way too far. Homeopath and naturopath Anki Zimmerman used diluted saliva from a rabid dog to treat a 4-year-old boy, according to a blog post she published earlier this year. Zimmerman claims that the potentially infectious and deadly concoction successfully resolved the boy's aggressive behavior, which she described as a slightly rabid dog state. Now, we'll touch on exactly who this Dr. Zimmerman is in just a moment, but let's keep going. The tale fits with the scientifically implausible principles of homeopathy. These roughly state that substances that produce similar symptoms of a particular ailment can cure said ailment, like cures like, and that diluting a substance increases its potency, the law of infinitesimals. Health experts say Zimmerman's claims aren't just far-fetched, but rather they're barking mad, as very clever writing there in that article. But the idea behind this, what they're saying is true, because homeopaths absolutely believe that like will cure like. If you have a fever, then what you really need to do is you need to find some sort of plant that causes you to have an increase in body temperature. And then they'll take that plant, they'll dilute it into water, they'll boil it down, and then they'll put it back into another thing of water and boil it down until effectively there's nothing left in it except water, or the spirit of the water, the memory the water has of that substance, and then give it to the patient. The lengthy post unleashed the months-long saga of 4-year-old Jonah. The boy presented with aggression and sleeping troubles, according to Zimmerman. He was said to be violent, easily angered, and known for growling at people. He also suffered from fears and nightmares of werewolves, wolves, zombies, and ghosts. When Zimmerman asked him how he feels when he growls, she said that the 4-year-old responded, "Like there's a tornado inside me. My spirit is a hurricane." Zimmerman quickly sniffed out the source of the problem. When Jonah was younger, a dog bit him. That is, Jonah's mother said that one time a dog accidentally broke the skin slightly on Jonah's hand while it was reaching to get food Jonah was holding. Zimmerman pounced on the tidbit, claiming, "A bite from an animal, with or without rabies vaccination, has the potential to imprint an altered state in the person who was bitten, in some ways similar to a rabies infection. This can include overexcitability, difficulty sleeping, aggression, and various fears, especially of dogs or wolves." This child presented a perfect picture of this type of rabies state. Most homeopaths would have easily recognized the remedy required in this case. So the oh boy. So the whole part about this is the kid was bitten by a dog, and because being bitten by a dog is similar to being bitten by a dog with rabies, it caused a what did she call it? An imprinted an altered state on this young boy who probably didn't even know what rabies was, but I guess this spiritual altered state of spiritual rabies infected this kid, and that's why he needed to be treated in this manner. Wow. The remedy to this state was clearly the saliva of a rabid dog, Zimmerman concluded. Months later, the mother reported that Jonah's issues had improved, although they had not resolved entirely. Oh, but that's not going to dissuade a Dr. Zimmerman. Zimmerman declared the treatment a success. Bottom line, homeopathy can work wonders for children with behavioral disorders if the remedy can be clearly perceived. Wow. What the fuck? Oh my god. In response to hounding criticism of the post, Zimmerman stood by her conclusions. "This child dramatically improved. The parents are very happy," she told the CBC. "Isn't that something that's interesting? Shouldn't we be looking into that?" Though she admitted that there's no common consensus about how the remedies work. She continued to claim that it was an effective and safe treatment. She added that the saliva was so diluted that it wouldn't contain any trace of rabies virus. And to be fair, as long as this treatment was made according to the principles of homeopathy, she is correct. But it is a little concerning that this was made by something as potentially dangerous as rabid dog saliva. Just the potential of it is insane. As well, you have to keep in mind, whoever makes these fucking products, this is not government controlled. This is largely deregulated shit that's just being sold by companies who have a capacity to do so. If there's one industrial accident or a slip up or a negligent worker, is it impossible to state that you could have an actual bed of rabies put into this treatment? Maybe I'm just a little bit too alarmist about it, but when it comes to trying to give kids cures, unregulated, potentially dangerous cures, and it has to do with rabies, I don't think there is any reason not to question it, because that is horrifying. But really, let's look at who this Dr. Anki Zimmerman actually is. Well, from her website, Dr. Anki Zimmerman, BSc, ND, FCAH, is a naturopathic physician with a special interest in childhood neurological, neurodevelopmental, and behavioral disorders, including autism spectrum disorders, sensory processing disorders, ADHD, learning disabilities, epilepsy, tics, night terrors, anxiety disorders, excessive aggression, and jealousy. Jealousy? Whatever. Education. Dr. Zimmerman holds a yoga teacher's diploma from Sheridan College in Oakville, Ontario. Her first qualification that she lists is that she's a yoga teacher. Let that fucking sink in. And a Bachelor's of Science degree in psychology from the University of Toronto. Okay. A naturopathic doctor's degree from the Canadian College of Naturopathic Medicine. Oh, I bet that's a very highly regarded college. Holy shit. And an advanced specialization in classical homeopathy from the Canadian Academy of Classical Homeopathy. Oh, God. She is trained in clinical nutrition, botanical medicine, homeopathy, lifestyle counseling, traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncture, applied kinesiology testing, IV therapies, body work, and various energy healing techniques. Okay, let's break some of this stuff down. So at the top, she's got, after her name, BSc. It's Bachelor's of Science. Okay, fine, whatever. ND, naturopathic doctor. Not a medical doctor, naturopathic doctor. And the FCAH, the proudly behind her name, that stands for Fellow of the Canadian Academy of Homeopathy. Wow. But how about some of those other big words? Well, obviously we know what homeopathy is. What about kinesiology? That is the study of the mechanics of body movements. She looks at how people move around. Fascinating. Fucking fascinating. And this is somebody, and she only has a bachelor's of psychology, and she is psychoanalyzing this kid that's showing aggression and then deciding that what he needs is magical spooky rabies water. What the fuck? Now, I'm sure nobody's going to really be that surprised, but she is, in fact, also an anti-vaxxer. She did a Q&A session after a screening of Vaxxed. I'm honestly really not shocked, but the story about this doesn't really end there. There's one more thing that we should probably bring up, and it's going back to the article. Provincial Health Officer Dr. Bonnie Henry told the CBC that she has grave concerns about the use of saliva containing rabies, which causes fatal infections. She also has a bone to pick with Health Canada over the treatment and its approval, which gave her pause when she learned of it from Zimmerman's post. Oh yeah, here it comes. The rabid dog treatment called Lysinum, aka Lysin or Hydrophobinum, is one of more than 8,500 homeopathic products approved by Health Canada, according to the CBC. That's right, Health Canada, a government body that is telling people what is and is not safe. Yeah, Health Canada is the one who says, sure, yeah, magic spooky water. That's totally fine and legit. It's approved for use, and especially this magic spooky rabies water. Yeah, totally fine to give people. Health Canada are the ones who are saying that. So really, as much of a weird wackadoo snake oil salesman as Anka, whatever the hell, Zimmerman, as much as she peddles crap, you can only get so mad at her because Health Canada itself is saying that this is approved for use. This is fucked. Totally fucked. We have our own problems with unregulated supplements in the States. But at least we're not having a government body saying that magic water is appropriate and magic rabies water should be given to 4-year-old kids having psychological problems and night terrors. This is just disgusting to me. Everything about this is completely horrifying. I can't even wrap my goddamn head around it. This is the kind of nightmare article you read about and you're like, this can't be real. This has to be fake. But unfortunately, sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. And this is in fact real. So I suppose the real takeaway from this is, and I really shouldn't have to say it, for fuck's sake, And you shouldn't have to hear it. Everybody should be able to really be clued in on this right from the get-go. Homeopathy is bullshit. And by all means, do not give your children mega diluted rabies. It's not going to help, for one. And worst case scenario, whoever made it fucks it up, and now you have a kid with rabies. Awesome. Anyway, that's going to be it for me today. I had to share this with everybody because, wow. I hope everybody out there is well and staying rabies free. I'm going to do my best to do the same. I'll catch you guys next time, alright? Bye-bye.